All right, I think we're on here. Good evening, everyone. It's 6 p.m., June 20th, 2024. I'm here to call this meeting to order of the Columbus Utility Commission. When Matt's ready, if you could please take a roll call for us. When you're ready.
Here we go. Handler?
Here.
Beckman?
Here.
Hammer?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
Curtis?
Here.
Rule?
Here.
And Finkler.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. This meeting has been noticed in accordance with state statutes and local ordinances. Next item then is to approve the agenda for the evening. We have a fairly brief agenda. Unless there's any alterations or deletions, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The agenda is approved. On to number 5, visitors' comments and utility communications. Is anyone present for any communications? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes for the April 18th meeting, as well as the May 29th meeting. We have the outage report, and we have the financial reports, which include the approval of the water, wastewater, and light cash disbursements report and accounts payable report. I think originally in the packet we had April's, and they've been replaced with May and June, so we should have the updated versions of those in front of us. Any discussion or questions on the consent agenda? If none, I'll take a motion to approve.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion, and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion on the motion? We'll need a roll call then, Matt.
Beckman?
Aye.
Hammer? Aye. Tom?
Aye.
Curtis?
Aye.
Rule?
Aye.
Finkler?
Aye.
Handler?
Motion passes. Thank you. We have no unfinished business this evening. On to new business. Item number 1 is discussion and acceptance of 2023 wastewater utility CMAR report. Did staff want to go over this report?
I can go through the report with you if you would like, or briefly explain what it was about. It was approved by the, or I should say, the reclamation number, or excuse me, provided by the City Council since this was the year of 2023. Next year, this report will be handled just by the commission itself for a resolution. I need signatures from everybody just to say that it is gone. So Mayor Hammer signed already. City Clerk will sign when she returns from her vacation. Commission President, I'll have you sign, and then I will sign to approve the resolution so we can turn this into the DNR. I have the official copy here. Basically, the CMAR report is a annual report required by the Department of Natural Resources that goes through the compliance and maintenance of every wastewater facility. It's a formalized form that is provided online. Basically, it explains and grades what your flows are, what your data is based on your permit, what you're required for PMs, maintenance, your planning for capital improvements, and it's graded on a varying rate. As I mentioned during our tour, 2 months last year, we exceeded flows for our reported permittable limits. So we did not receive 100% for this 2023 CMAR report. Were there any specific questions anyone had in the report, or would you like me to go through the entire thing? Yes.
I just had one minor question. When it talked about the operator certification, is because this is for the reporting year 2023, should we be listing Katie rather than Peter?
Peter has to sign it because he's the person that prepared the report for this year. He
Okay.
was also an operator in the plant, fully licensed last year, so it is applicable for him to have the license and be the OIC in the report. Yep.
Were there any other questions on the report? My understanding is that we don't need to take official action on this, is that
No,
correct?
this is
Just-
basically just for information for us for this year to,
Just to present the report.
present the report, and it's already had a resolution number provided. It is official document from, the Common Council, so, yes, we are good to go if we just present the information.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further discussion or questions on that item, then we can move on to reports. I did see that Jacob put a utility director's report on paper in our packet, which I appreciate.
Yes, and then I forgot to print it out myself. It'll be a pretty brief report.
9 minutes. You gotta fill 9 minutes.
Oh, 9 minutes? Well, I'll slow down how I talk then. No one spoke about the outage reports, but one of the biggest things that our electric utility has been doing has been repairing the storm damage in Fireman's Park. For the most part, up until next Tuesday, the utilities work is completed in the park. The crews worked very hard to get all that work done. They worked well with the Department of Public Works. I have to give a lot of praise and props to Troy Kehoe and his crew for doing an excellent job removing the soil with such promptness and storing the soil in our storage facility at the former Countryside Ford location. I appreciate all the hard work that was done with that, and everything has been reseeded, and hopefully we'll have some grass growing by the 4th of July. With the electric utility, they also assisted the city of Waupun. There was a massive storm damage in the city of Waupun where our operators spent, I believe, 2.5 days up there, completely working to restore the community with power. It was a massive outage for that community. There was a number of communities that actually responded to assist them, but most of our crew was there, I do believe, for the better part of 2 days. We had to repair the line outage or the short on Dick Street, right in front of the Culvers. That has been repaired. Also, thank you to the city of Lodi and Wanakee for helping us with that. That was helpful with the assistance with some tools that we did not have on site. When they were able to, the crew continued with their work on the Highway K expansion. The utility was short-staffed due to vacations. One of our linemen, Jake Bonas, recently got married, and as you also heard, that our lineman lead became a recent father again, so he was on parental leave for a little bit. We've been working on a plan to return power to Fireman's Park and the stadium, which I'd mentioned. The boring has been done today. We'll most likely go through the rest of this week, and they should have power returned to the park completely by Wednesday of next week. So hopefully, with the city's electrician, they will have all the work done with that is needed to be done. We worked on the capital improvement plan, and we ordered the new digger truck for the electric utility, which we will see here at the end of December. Water Department has done state DNR testing. State inspection was performed by the DNR. We did pass. Completed the cleaning and flushing of Reservoir 2, returned that plant back into service. They've been assisting the electric department with the storm damage. Again, kudos to our crews for working together and getting done what needed to be done. And they also started to flush hydrants, which we apologize for not informing the community of the dates of flushing. That was just a lapse of not putting it publicly out there. So I do apologize. For the sewer department, the Dome 3 repair has been completed. As you saw, the clarifier decking work has started. Concrete will be poured on the 24th, which is Monday. Manholes at James and Water Street, Water and Mill were repaired. The plant has experienced excessive flows due to increased I&I as well as equipment failures and lack of redundancy. The operators expressed to you today that, it's been tough to work through, but they've been able to get through it, and we're coming out of it now, and hopefully we start seeing less torrential rain in short periods of time. Because
I'll look at tomorrow's forecast.
I'm not, that's why, just hopefully. The plant was required to bypass the process multiple times, which you saw with the two aeration basins being full, that were the extra bypass overflow basins. Due to excessive flows, the Aquafix trial is ongoing. Results thus far look good. We've had to make some changes with our solids processing with the belt filter press, but that is addressed and will be fully addressed next week when the new chemical arrives. For the upcoming month, electric will hopefully be able to get back fully on a Highway K conversion. Fireman's Park will be back online, so that can go off of next month's agenda. Same with the stadium lights, and then we're gonna work through estimates with the hospital expansion and work through development plan for the power grid and substation improvements. And anything else that happens to come up with the forecasts. The water plant will be starting the number 1 overflow project, which should begin within the next month. They're gonna continue hydrant flushing. They're gonna repaint some hydrants if they can. And also they'll have their state DNR testing as is done every month. They're gonna continue with the lead and copper inventory by hydro vacuuming with the Vector truck. They still need to do about 50, 60 services for that report that is due in October for the DNR. We'll have our new vac truck on site sometime in July, I do believe, was the latest update. So operators will all be trained on that, and they'll be able to start doing some work when they have parts of equipment available. They've installed seasonal meters, and they'll begin meeting for the upcoming year capital improvement plan, which we've already had a couple meetings, but we will be ongoing as more and more information becomes available to us as they happen. The sewer, we'll continue with the Aquafix trial. We have 2 more weeks of the trial, and then we will begin inoculation of both tanks and setting the standards for our process operation. Due to the success of the trial thus far, the data will be compressed and calculated by Aquafix and myself to fully show what has been done and how it's improved our process control. But it has been very promising, as you heard. 3 less trucks have been delivered from treatment into the storage containers, or storage building, which adds room. I mean, that's pretty good with only half of the facility actually doing the treatment. For example, the mixed liquor standard is around 6,000. That is what is in our O&M manual as the standard process for our extended aeration. We have been able to operate our extended aeration on the test side up to 28,000 before we start seeing any issues. So that is quite an improvement. Let's see, what else? We've collected information from vendors. I have that packet, which we'll be speaking with Mr. Amundson about here in the near future to make the repairs to the collection system around the Waterloo lift station, which is scheduled to be repaired this year via capital project. That work needs to be done immediately as we fix that, since it will be very detrimental if we do not get the increased water flow from groundwater out of that sewer and out of that lift station while they're working on it. It's going to be a problem. But we already have contracts set up that we can actually go through and look at with them. We had 4 vendors, I believe, total for the jetting and the repairs put in bids. And also, as mentioned, the vac truck will be here in the next 60 days. We have to prepare and decide what we're going to do and how we're going to sell the old vac truck. That is a process. I do not know if it was going to be the utilities' responsibility or the city's, since it was technically the city's property when it was purchased. I'm not sure how that's going to go, so that's something we need to discuss. Let's see. We're going to work with Rupert and Milky on researching and developing the collection system sampling and improving plan, which we had mentioned that is going to be a main focus of our wastewater department, is properly going through and sourcing and citing and reevaluating all of our commercial, industrial, and violating customers that we know we have issues with when it comes to fats, oils, and greases, or excessive chemical or nutrient loads coming into the system. The Meister Park and Waterloo Lift Station project should be kicking off soon. Not sure when, I haven't heard an official date, but we know that they need to be started here shortly. And we're also gonna work with Rupert and Milky on the solids processing project, the former biosolids dryer project. We're gonna be looking at alternative chemistries for the dewatering chemicals, which we've already started. That project will not include a dryer, but it will include the dewatering system, the screw press, the elimination, removal of the belt filter press, and improvement and process control changes and advancements in the piping and pumping to the facility, and also hopefully setting up a contract for us to have land application by an outside vendor to save us a lot of money and time. There's no reason we should be using that small truck to haul back and forth when we can have a quad axle truck do it in a third of the time. So that is pretty much all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Questions for Jacob? Thank you for that.
How was the time?
Do any of the commissioners have any suggestions for future agenda topics at this time? All right, seeing none, the next item is to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Get a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.